Xiao is fun. Here's why. He is very tall, and if you like Xiao, you're probably very tall too. There are lots of reasons to play a character, whether it be their aesthetics, their mechanics, or their utility. So I asked a few of my friends why they pulled for Elatus, our angsty Animo Adeptus, and the results I got ranged from I was building pity, to his kit seemed fun, to he looked cool. Let's start with the looks and consider his more common animations. You'll be seeing these a lot. His charged attack is a unique upward swing in contrast to every other polearm unit whose charged attack is a forward thrust instead. This can be used to knock smaller enemies up, just to plunge them back down. The trailing lines kind of look like a claw coming out of the ground, making it feel extra violent. His elemental skill is a quick thrust. As simple as it may be, there are a lot of subtle, satisfying elements to make it feel impactful. Slowing it down, we see that he vanishes through an intense light, producing a black shockwave at around the point of origin, providing the feeling of quick acceleration. The light fades as he manifests with his edgy anime pose. Using this on larger enemies halts your advance, making you feel like you've struck something heavy and formidable, while attacking smaller enemies phases you through them, making you feel like an assassin, both of which are good elements for game design. Now let's look at his burst. Very anime. The low camera angle with the slow zoom in and pan up makes you feel tall and imposing. Because you are. Your attention gets drawn to the ominous Yaksha mask as the eyes begin to glow, then Xiao's hand comes down as his Adeptus energy explodes. Somebody's in trouble now.
Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Plunge attacks during his burst send you down as a beam of light, conjuring forth spears that shoot out of the ground upon impact, that vanish just as quickly as they came. While animations may not directly translate to a player having fun, having a cool character wrapped up in a pretty package can certainly help the experience. The next common point by my local Xiao havers: his kit seemed fun. But what even is fun? Let's take a look at the inverse. If someone were to ask you what makes a character boring to play, you might think something along the lines of, she's a Q-bot, or he's too easy, maybe a little monotonous. Call it a lack of complexity, but for simplicity's sake, we'll call this simplicity. If simplicity is boring, then the inverse should be fun, so complexity is good. We love it when it's hard, but not too hard, because then you either get discouraged and quit, or a trip to the doctor. So where does Xiao plunge in the simplicity spectrum? If you've ever found yourself alone in your car at 2 in the morning wiping tears from your eyes with a burrito wrapper from Taco Bell, that's about as low as his skill floor gets. However, he does have a ceiling, and that ceiling can be as high or as low as you want, depending on when you click. If you just want to spam plunges all willy-nilly, you can do that. If you want to learn the frame-perfect timing for his high plunges, you can do that too. You can even do his N1 CJP combos, which are pretty decent for single target damage if you're canceling at the right times. If you really want to be a sweat about it, you can do a combination of all of the above. If you play a character like Yoimiya, for example, you might be too familiar with getting Nagano harassed out of your normal attack string. A large portion of Yoimiya's damage comes from her 5th normal attack, especially if you're vaporizing on it. So if you get slapped around or forced into dodging, big cringe. While bringing an Animo unit allows you to use Veritas and Venerer for more damage, in practice, it's not worth it if you're too frequently interrupted. So a common option is to relinquish your swirls in exchange for a fat shield and consistency instead. While Xiao doesn't really have long combos to interrupt, you still don't really want to get hit. His burst drains his HP, so Xiao can be deceptively squishy. Can you use a shield to stave off death? Sure.
But it can be better.
By combining Xiao's different jumps, you can use your airtime to effectively dodge attacks while minimizing your damage loss. And when you can do it effectively, you feel like a goddamn superhero. In short, Xiao has a lot of room to flex a player's skill expression. Simplicity versus complexity aside, what else can make something fun? Fun is a tough topic to quantify as it's subjective by nature. My idea of fun as a partially functional adult is taking a 6-hour nap with a 10-minute break in between. In this sense, sometimes having fun is just not doing work. Which brings us to not plunging. It's a physics joke. If he's standing still, there's no displacement, so no work.
How absurd.
Xiao, being an Animo unit with self-infusion, opens up some options that he was probably not designed for. For example, take a look at your artifacts. See those L rolls and EM you got? Let's make that useful. Put him with off-field Dendro and Electro units, and you have yourself Aggravate Xiao. Is it good? Not particularly. But it is fun. And funny. It's a fun E.
Shut it!
Go full psycho by hard stacking EM, splash in a Hydra unit, and now you have Hyper Bloom Xiao. Replace your Electro unit with Bennett and give Burgeon Xiao a shot. All of these options let you exercise his normal attack and or charge attacks, which have really cool animations but rarely see the light of day. Do you still like the Plunge playstyle but want to see big, red, Giga Chad numbers instead of these non-threatening baby-faced p-shirted
Worthless!
steel digits? Build him like Hu Tao.
在身边，伤口就不会痛。
这里，无能。
Unbelievable. After standard and non-standard playstyles, what else can we consider? For the sake of example, let's look at a game like Honkai Star Rail. Star Rail has turn-based combat with an auto-battle feature that removes player involvement. This is to help in making daily tasks less tedious, but I know some people that pull for units specifically because those units are auto-battle friendly. Inversely, I know people that regret pulling units because they are not auto-battle friendly. Now that seems peculiar. Why pull for a unit you aren't actually going to play? I think it's because sometimes the synergy is enough to fulfill the satisfaction. Or, you're all just down bad. Watching things fall perfectly into place can be just the thing you need. And the good news is, Xiao is more flexible than he's ever been. Not to say that he is flexible, just more so than before. Being an attack scaling DPS that can crit and can be effectively considered reactionless, he plays well with many of the best buffing support units like Bennett and Farina. Xianyun, the newly released tactical missile, buffs Plunge Attacks substantially, making her a top-tier Xiao support. And if you pulled on Xianyun's banner, you may have been fortunate enough to pick up a few copies of Farazan along the way. Another strong Anemo support, being just the battery Xiao needs. And just like that, we've already established what to me feels like the most comfortable and premium Xiao team. Xiao and Farina both drain HP as a form of DPS tax, Xianyun buffs and heals for the tax return, and Farazan functions as a battery, Anemo damage buffer, and Anemo resistance shredder. Even before playing the team, the synergy feels so strong you're psychologically set up for success. I'm just imagining 3 sassy, uppity women following this edgy anime main character around, and they're like,
Shower me with praise.
and he's like,
Disappear!
and they go,
How dare you! Respect.
The audacity!
We already mentioned Bennett, who can substitute in for almost any spot at the cost of being limited to a circle, but you can choose other options like Zhongli or Diona for shielding, Sucrose or Lynette as a battery, Jean or Sayu for healing and more battery, and you can even splash in sub-DPS units like Fischl, Xiangling, Yilan, Beidou, or Xingqiu for extra defensive utility and or damage. Keep in mind, for the latter 3, you'll need to weave in normal attacks to proc the bursts. I've even seen dual on-field DPS teams that use units like Hu Tao or Raiden to cover Xiao's downtime with their own damage windows, and while I personally don't find these options great, it's something you can do if you have some units you really like and you want to see them share the spotlight. Generally speaking, if you give Xiao a battery, you have 2 more flex spots you can use to mess around with and see what's comfortable. But seriously, if you have Farina and Xianyun, they do a lot for him. Like, my dopamine is so high when I play them together, and dopamine equals fun. Arguably more alluring than the combat, the world of Genshin Impact is vast and there is a lot of ground to cover. I don't often use Xiao for open world exploration since all of his damage is tied to his burst, but if you kit him out with extra energy recharge, it's something you can consider, and another reason to advocate for dual on-field DPS compositions. His skill is good for some quick movement, and when you do come across enemies you need to kill, plunge attacks are great for breaking enemy poise and shields. You can even use his heightened jumps to catch crystal flies. I mentioned Q-bots and characters that are too simplistic earlier. What makes a character like Mona, a unit that shows up to skill, burst, and vanish for 20 seconds boring, while a unit like Farina, who basically does the same thing, is seen as fun? They both increase your damage, both have imperfect yet present Hydra application, and both have comparable field time. Is it the animations? Maybe. Team synergy? Sure, but we already looked at that. Damage buff? Mona's got a strong buff, but it only lasts for a short time. That's how my ex described me to her friends. Farina's buff lasts for 18 seconds but grows in intensity. I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like the difference between instantly busting a nut and edging till the end. How does this apply to Xiao, you may ask? Incidentally, you can't be an edgelord without also edging. The longer you stay in his burst, the greater his angst grows. Granted, when you use units like Farina or Yilan, this damage ramping isn't specific to Xiao, nor does it make his particular passive especially noticeable since you now have multiple sources of it. But if you missed Farina or don't want to use Yilan, it's just another little thing you get to appreciate. Does that make it fun? Why do people play idle games? To watch numbers get bigger. Another topic for discussion, you may be thinking, I pulled for Xianyun so I can plunge where I please. I have Xiao at home. Why do I need that Xiao? To which I would reply, you don't. But Xiao still has some advantages over them. We already talked about his various combos and animation timings you can apply to bend your damage windows around enemy attack patterns, but imagine trying to do that while also managing elemental auras. Great news for Xiao, he has no reliance on elemental reactions to dish out good damage. Like we established earlier, complexity is good, but too much complexity leads to a frustrating experience. To further emphasize his value amongst his plunging peers, you'll find his AoE is substantially larger, which makes him great at padding out DPS across multiple targets. The only thing that's more fun than hitting something is hitting lots of somethings. That's why my dad had 3 children. This increased AoE means a few things. You can plunge in the middle of a group, and despite the knockback, you can still fairly reliably hit everything for at least a little while. If you expect enemies to last longer, you can position yourself right next to one and knock the poor chucklehead into the rest of the group, possibly even maintaining damage on all of them. And last but not least, Xiao is fun because...
Lament!
I've owned Xiao since patch 2.7 nearly 2 years ago, and as time goes on, my appreciation for him only continues to grow. Mostly because I keep trying to pick up Farazan constellations whenever Wanderer swoops in.
Cry louder!
Being a Xiao main feels better now more than ever, as you have some very strong, very synergistic team options that make him feel great again. Even if you're missing a few pieces, you can make some substitutions and still be met with success. If plunging has become too mainstream for you, you can try EM builds, funny swirls, use him as a support, and if you're tired of even all of that, take a little vacation. From Liga to Mondstadt to wherever, you can be international. Everything I do is cringe. My next video is probably on Yai. Hit the button if you want to see it.